TikTok
What's up,
Studio
gang?
always has to update every time I like open it, and it's like becoming one of like the most annoying things of my life. Like, what is there to update at this point? Like, some other bug fix or some other, make it easier for the government to eavesdrop on us or some shit like that. Like, please just let me stream it.
I ain't been dropping no eaves, sir. Honest.
We're going to be updating this so that way you still can't have guests.
It's so annoying. It's like, it's literally I watched the program start and stop like 6 times before I can actually do anything with it. But anyway, what's up, gang? How's everyone in neoliberal hellhole that we live in called America?
I love America.
Slang.
I love democracy.
Tell me, what's your favorite aspect about democracy, Larry?
I love the people. I love the politician.
You do?
I love the freedom of choice. I love democracy.
Easily the best part about it is that, you could get, they can read your mind and then pick a candidate for you that is exactly what you're looking for every time.
Yes, this is how we got Stalin on the ballot this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's funny because my coworker was going off today about left radical liberals, and I really had to try hard to not be like, liberals aren't on the left, bro. Like, what are you talking about? But I was like, no, let me chill. Let me just. They already don't like me
I'm
over
quite
there.
sure the rad libs are the left, right?
It's the same exact rhetoric that Donald Trump was already saying it the other day, where they were like Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Is it Walz or Waz? I always say it wrong. Walz. I said it wrong.
It's one of those. Right?
Yeah.
I know it's not Walz.
I remember his name was Wes Walz, so we'll go with Walz.
He's a fucking goober, bro. But my own cursing reminds me that we're on TikTok now. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, so like Donald Trump and the gang and all of them are talking about how it's a left radical liberal agenda or whatever, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, do you think that like obviously the bourgeois, like the upper class, knows that they have to stay within each other? So like, do you think when these Republicans and like Donald Trump and the gang or whatever, when they're talking about like when they're saying things like left radical liberals and whatever, do you think these people actually believe that, or that they're just saying bullshit to get people like riled up?
No, they don't believe it. No.
Yeah.
Of course not. I mean, Trump is not exactly one of the more well-read and well-versed capitalist politicians, but even he knows damn well that the liberals aren't, the left or the representation of the working class. They're not. They're
right.
They purposely obfuscated. It's part of the game.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
I think some of them are definitely helping their own supply, but they intuitively know they're not the same thing.
Yeah. And it varies. Like, politicians are different. Like, actual capitalists, like, they know better.
Yeah.
They know better.
It's just so frustrating, especially because like we come on here all the time and talk about how much we hate liberals, and like, for people who don't know, the reason why we go more after the reason why we target liberals more than conservatives is because conservatives, we don't need to sit here and convince you why conservatism, like why right wingers are wrong. Like, yeah, sure, we talked about them last episode, but like as a whole, like they tell you that they want to kill you. Like they make that blatantly obvious. The liberals present themselves as saviors, and we all have a major problem with that, because you get these people who just a couple, last month, 2-3 weeks ago, are saying, rah rah free Palestine, but as soon as Kamala Harris comes up, they're like, oh, we're saved. It's literally Hillary Clinton 2.0, and it's disgusting.
Yeah. It's, for me, I understand how frustrated people are, and it makes perfect sense to be frustrated in these moments. But like, I went through it personally with when Obama actually got elected, like we were very hopeful, like the anti-war left, whatever, because I definitely wasn't a communist in 2007 and 8, but I was getting there. Very much anti-war, left, liberal, whatever that meant. And so I've been there. I've been through this. Like I've seen people at the drop of a hat, they get an ounce of what they see as a change in direction, and they're on board with it still. And so, like, I expected it, and like I said, people have been pushing back, but she's going to likely win. Like the momentum for that campaign is real, and people didn't necessarily want a change in policy; they wanted a change in face.
And they wanted the empire to be stabilized.
Yeah.
And you get 4 more years of relative stabilization, which
isn't happening.
Right. It's not. The economy just tanked. It's in a way, and perhaps this is my own liberalism I need to unpack. In a way, it's like, I don't want to say a relief, but it's just, I guess, more like, I don't want to say more time. It's just, I guess if I really had to pick which bourgeois to fight, I guess I would go with those 2 goobers as opposed to the Christo Fash. But they still enable the Christo Fash, and they still commit, G-side. Or so, like, really doesn't change that much. It might just give us a couple more years to, gather. I don't know. Probably not. No, because they, what was it, last year when the Senate was like, we condemn communism, and I'm like, damn. So you know what, I take it back now.
They're both.
Well, I mean, Germany's a perfect example of after their revolution, or their failed revolution, right? They had social democrats who are more left-wing than the liberals we have here, forming like paramilitaries to put down, communist uprisings and workers' uprisings.
Yeah,
and then 10 years later, the social democrats, they got replaced with another group of people who were just literally fascists doing the same thing to the communists. So it doesn't really matter. The ops still going to try to get rid of communists.
Yeah, the ops stay the ops. The capitalists stay the capitalists, and we just got to fight them, no matter who wins out amongst the fight between themselves. Like we have so little say in the matter; it's not worth worrying yourself over as to which op you're going to be facing. Right? Like, ultimately, these contradictions are solved among the bourgeoisie, not among us.
I just want to add something as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I agree that it's easier with frickin' frack in there. Like I agree with that. But it kind of sucks if that's how we get our first woman president. And I know that's kind of liberal of me or whatever. But my whole life I was told, because I was born in 1970, that women are equal to men now, and we never were. And so that's all I wanted to say on that.
Yeah.
That pissed me off. But other than that,
I
don't know.
Yeah. No, you listen, I get it. Even though come back, Lumpy.
Lumpy will be the first woman general secretary.
You don't have to ask to come on to the show. You're part of the show, you goofball. But
I know, but I didn't want to disrupt you guys because you were flowing.
You're part of this. Anyway, so I agree in the sense that, like, I was a kid when Obama was elected, and like, yes, I'm not black, but as a brown boy growing up in a white town, I was kind of like, all right, like, I kind of get it, like that's cool. Someone who's kind of looks like me, and then now being the adult communist that I am, I'm like, fuck, I fucking hate that guy. So it's the same thing with Harris, where it's like, in an ideal world, like yeah. Women. One, the patriarchy is doo-doo feces. It should be just done away with. Women should be leading society, but putting a woman at the head of the empire, it's still an empire. And the unfortunate result of that is you're going to get a lot of liberals who are going to be living the way that they live, and being like, this is girl power, and it's like, yeah, girl power to kill brown people around the world. Like,
Yeah.
it ain't the move, chief.
Yeah, and it's also like just that. I mean, I get like if she wins, she got the votes on the other end, but they totally screwed up not having like. It's not that she won against the guys in the race. She was appointed too. So that's the thing that kind of irritates me. Like
when's the last time the Democrats didn't just appoint their person, Obama? It's been forever.
Yeah, you're right. I know. It's just me being.
But we must save democracy.
All right, guys. Now, that's not true. They don't appoint from the jump. They get a group of like 7 guys who are identical in their policies, but they're from different states, and they might have a different fucking coif for their hair. They might have sideburns. They might not have sideburns. They might be wearing a suit. Know what I mean? And then
I'd vote for the.
Then they merge them all together. Then they pick whoever's the most popular out of the guys that they've already preordained to be in those spots, anyways.
If we had some like beautiful chops on somebody, I'd vote for them.
Has Joe Biden been seen in public?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, is he dead?
Yeah, he has.
He was out and about this week, shitting on leftists as usual.
He kind of wanders around.
Yeah.
He doesn't know where he is. It's okay.
So what about our Bernie 2.0 in the seat, Walz? What about this guy? Is he our guy?
Yeah. So I wanted to get into Mr. Walz here. So first off, I want to point this out. So a lot of the Republicans, right wingers, are pointing out, or they're trying to point out, that Walz's military record is like either falsified or that he like didn't like serve. So I've seen like tweets from like Republican representatives. There was this one guy. I don't know if he was in like Delta Force or what, but like he's in the desert. He's got a rig carrier. He looks like he's about to do some bad shit to innocent people. He's got his face painted white. I should have saved the picture. And it's like, this was me in Desert Storm. Where were you, Tim Walz? And I'm like, and then the liberals come in and they're like, no, he did serve. And I'm like, you guys are arguing for whether or not this guy helped kill brown people. Like, that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. I don't know.
That's what's important. That's what's important to the American public is how many brown people did you kill? And did you really kill them, or were you just like a backseat driver? This is very important.
Right, exactly. Why are you face palming, cutie? What's wrong? He won't unmute.
It's just a good assessment, I think, and
right.
It's an accurate.
It's horrible, bro.
It's horrible.
He's like, I served my country for 24 years. Fuck you. like, and like I was reading his background a little bit, and like he definitely wasn't like a poor boy who was like, well, it's either this or I'd be homeless, and you did your 4 years and you got the fuck out. Like he did that shit for decades. Like, and he retired at a pretty decent rank. So like, homie was involved. Homie was involved in some shit.
Yeah, he was in the officers' corps. He was not an Let
me see what I got here.
So Mike is saying stolen valor is a major thing for all liberals, and I'm gonna have to strongly agree. If there's something that will discredit a politician immediately for these guys, is be like, yeah, he said he was here, but he wasn't. He wasn't a soldier. And they're like, oh my God, he's a lying sack of shit. I don't want to see him anywhere near the wheel of power. Like,
yeah.
All right. Oh, hey, we're on the same page. I was about to get into this article. So here's just an article from CNN. for more context and background before we get into this guy. So, Vice President Kamala Harris has chosen Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota as her running mate, elevating the former teacher and Army National Guard veteran to join a Democratic ticket, help lead the party's first fight to defeat Donald Trump. The selection, which Harris personally delivered to Walz via a video call, according to a source familiar with the matter, caps Midwestern Democratic short but swift ascent from a relative unknown to a leading driver of the party's attacks against the former president and his MAGA agenda. Walz emerged from the most accelerated vice presidential search in modern history. That's just fancy word for saying they scrambled. From a short list that included a half dozen Democrats, including Pennsylvania Governor Joe Shapiro and Arizona Senator Mark Kelly. The vice president held in-person interviews with Walz, Shapiro, and Kelly on Sunday. While Harris and Walz did not enjoy much of a previous relationship, besides said Harris grew increasingly enthused by how Walz genuinely carried himself, found a warm chemistry with him during a final meeting Sunday at her residence at the Naval Observatory. Harris was impressed by his authenticity, a person close to the process told CNN. At a Tuesday rally in Philadelphia, the first joint appearance together, Walz portrayed himself as both a false-scheme Midwestern everyman and an attack dog for Harris. "Thank you for bringing back the joy," he said to Harris as he took the lectern, saying he is thrilled to be on his journey with her as a second gentleman, Doug Emroth. "We've got 91 days. We'll sleep when we're dead," Walz told the crowd. "Over those 91 days and every day in the White House, we'll have Vice President Harris's back every single day, and we'll have yours." Oh, God. The book they're going to sell in Barnes & Nobles about this is going to go crazy, bro. It's going to sell out immediately. It's literally going to open with, like, an excerpt from Walz being like, "I got a phone call in the middle of the night, in the early morning hours while I was having my coffee." That's exactly how it's going to go, bro.
Yeah.
Mark my fucking words. I'm going to steal the book, and I'm going to read it.
Here's how the decision went down.
Okay.
They looked at it and they said, Shapiro is probably going to win us Pennsylvania, almost certainly. But he's going to lose us Michigan because he's an unrepentant Zionist, openly and blatantly, and we can't even begin to color that. So they decided, all right, this guy Walz, yes, he's a Zionist. We're not going to pick an anti-Zionist candidate. That's just not possible. But can he get enough of these people that are whining about Medicare and unionization and all this? Can he get them to shut up and vote for us? Can we get enough of those people fooled into voting for us? And they made the game.
How do we get Teamsters to endorse us?
Again. Right. Exactly.
Right.
How can we trap these motherfuckers?
Yeah. I'm looking up something real quick. I meant to send this picture to you, Lumpy, earlier of Walz meeting with Netanyahu. I mean, I have a picture of it in the PSL slides, but the colors are distorted and stuff. But anyways, yeah. So let's go on. In a remarkable 2-week period, Walz ascended from a third-tier candidate to a final contender in the view of Harris and her vetting team. He was propelled by support from across the Democratic Party, Progress, and moderate groups alike. He talks and looks like a lot of voters. We've lost to Trump, a white man, said a longtime Democratic operative who was supportive of Walz from the day President Joe Biden and stepped aside. In March, Walz accompanied Harris when she became the first sitting vice president to visit a clinic that performs abortions. A source close to Walz said that the visit, along with that time Harris spent with the governor as he campaigned for re-election in 2022, had a big impact. The chemistry was really important to Harris and has really clicked for both of them. The source said, then on top of that, the Harris campaign, like all of us, saw how energizing Walz was from the base. Trump's campaign has already begun crafting a narrative around Harris' decision on Walz, with one source saying that Vice President bent the knee to the anti-Semitic, anti-Israeli left and chosen someone as dangerously liberal as she is. Shapiro, considered another finalist for the role, is Jewish and has been critical of some demonstrators who have protested Israel's war against Hamas. Still calling it that, huh? Trump's campaign press secretary, Carolyn Leavitt, said in a statement that Walz has spent his governorship trying to reshape Minnesota and his image of the Golden State. An energetic advocate. So basically not Sleepy Joe. A former educator, Walz is currently in his second term as Minnesota governor, chair of the Democratic Governor Association. He previously served 12 years in Congress, representing a conservative-leaning rural district that both before and after his tenure has been mostly dominated by Republicans. In the time leading up to his selection as Harris running mate, Walz had first been an outspoken defender of Joe Biden, following his disastrous debate as calls for the president to end his re-election bid escalated. When Biden did drop out, Walz endorsed Harris the next day and has since emerged as a reliable, energetic, cutting advocate for the presumptive Democratic nominee. Picking Walz also underscores Harris's campaign focus on the path to victory that puts a premium on the blue wall state of the Midwest. Minnesota is slightly outside the sphere, but Walz, once a high school football coach, has evolved during this time in office into something as a progressive populist folk hero, the exact kind of pugilistic, I don't know that word, voice that the Democrats taking on Trump are keen to highlight. So,
Pugilistic.
Yeah. Thank you. So basically, yeah, the Democrats scrambled overnight. They found somebody, and it's funny, like now how much they're gassing them up because the day that they announced it, Apple always like they'll send you notifications for news articles, and they're all like, "Who is this fucking nobody, Tim Walz, who's gonna be the next guy?" And they were like, "No one really knows who he is or what he does." Like it was kind of bananas how.
I jumped up just to say one thing. So my father will be 87 in a month. And he came down and he goes, why did they pick a VP that is just like Trump? Like, because he, like him going after Trump, he's like, this is ridiculous. Like, so he's going to put off some older people is all I'm going to say. That's
for sure. Adoro said something interesting in the TikTok comments. Low key gassing him up more than Kamala. That's patriarchy, my guy, and it's white supremacy. We gotta make sure the white guy is we can't let the black lady, even though she is a horrible liberal, have any sort of clout. We gotta make sure this guy is the guy because imagine they had another person of color. Sheesh. The election's gone.
They did go pretty crazy on the fucking first 2 days where they're like, "What is that? A feminine on with the edits every 5 seconds."
The political discourse is getting awesome in this country, though. I gotta say, it's miles more entertaining than it was when I was a young lad. The most entertaining thing that ever happened in politics when I was young was Clinton's BJ stuff and Howard Dean going, yeah. Now every politician is just talking wacky shit. It's great. They're talking about JD Vance fucking couches on the national stage. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it. I fucking love it because I need entertainment. I need content. I need to consume.
We're in a new dystopian era, my guys. Ignore how all U.S. president decides one was white and all just uphold colonialism. And that one who wasn't white upheld colonialism. All right, so let's go a little bit more into Tim Walz here. Let's see. What else do we have on him? I think we're kind of through this article.
But guys, her dress at the Oscars will be spoken about for centuries.
Tax the rich. All right, so I went ahead and got some accessories from Tim Walz, reading about him. So this is from the tried and true Wikipedia. In January 2007, Walz opposed President Bush's plan to send an additional 21,500 troops to Iraq. Okay. Although he opposed the war, he voted in favor of a bill in May that provided nearly $95 billion in funding for the war through to September 30th. Not okay. No. See, because here it's tricky, right? Because he doesn't want to send 21,500 soldiers to Iraq because he doesn't want Americans to die. However, if we can get our proxy groups and Raytheon and Boeing, more money to have people fight the war on our behalf, now we're thinking, now we're cooking. So Major L. Walz explained that his vote was to ensure the safety of American troops. Wow, you know what? I totally forgot that's what the next sentence was. While also stating he would continue to negotiate a process to pull troops from Iraq. Yeah, it's just backing his corporate backers. Israel and Hamas war. Walz condemned Hamas's October 7 attacks on Israel and ordered flags to be lowered at half-staff the following day. Cringe. After the 2024 Minnesota Democratic presidential primary, in which 19% of voters cast uncommitted ballots, Walz took a sympathetic view towards those doing so to protest President Biden's handling of the war in Gaza. calling them civically engaged, which is basically him saying, well, they're there. Of the protests against U.S. funding of...
It's like when you're saying some shit to like your grandma, and they're like, "Well, I don't agree with you, but I really like your spirit."
Right. Look at them doing what their constitutional rights allow them to do, and that's so cute. Of the protests against U.S. funding of the war in Gaza, Walz said this issue is a humanitarian crisis. They have every right to be heard. These folks are asking for a change in course. They're asking for more pressure to be put on. Now, here's the libest thing he's done. You can hold competing things. That Israel has a right to defend itself, and the atrocities of October 7th are unacceptable. Palestinian civilians being caught in this has got to end, Walz said as he supports a ceasefire in Gaza. Now, here's the thing. He doesn't support a ceasefire, and he's not going to support a ceasefire. Even if, and it's a huge if, even if he did, like, in his own personal life, as the second chair in the Bourgeois empire, he is ever going to be allowed or be able to do that, especially with someone as war hungry as Kamala. So I think we have to clip, but and I don't want you to skip ahead if you don't if you're not sure, Limpy. But so basically, changing gears for just a quick second, Kamala was doing a speech and whatever, yapping, and Palestinian protesters had shown up and basically they just described as heckling, but basically they were like, "Hey, stop killing us, dude." And she basically turned around, and not basically, she did turned around and said, if you guys just want President Trump, just say that. And then all the libs were screaming and foaming at the mouth and super excited to hear that because she's a girl boss. They're never going to stop. The people at the head of the machine are not going to stop. They don't care. This guy who the TikTok algorithm is trying to push as like your new liberal dad, your new jolly vice president, like he's not. I guarantee you he's not. And even if he is, like, he will never be given the chance to do that. So no. And also, you cannot say Israel has the right to defend itself when Israel as a settler colony shouldn't exist. So jot that down. Police reform and protest response. So this is from the George Floyd uprising, 2020. On May 26, 2020, the day after the murder of George Floyd, Walz and Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan demanded justice and called the video of Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin kneeling on George Floyd's neck disturbing. Walz elaborated, the lack of humanity in this disturbing video is sickening. We will get answers and seek justice. Walz first activated the Minnesota National Guard on the 28th of May, activating the entire state National Guard on the 30th of May. His decision was praised by Donald Trump at the time, and Trump later took credit for deploying the Guard. Political opponents and other groups criticized Walz's initial response to the widespread protests following Floyd's murder. He later responded to the murder by ordering the Minnesota legislature to reconvene for special session on the legislation for police reform and accountability. After police reform failed to pass, the first special session in June, a second special session was held in July. On July 21st, the legislation passed significant police reform legislation. The new compromise law included a limited ban on police from using chokeholds. So this is oh, what happened here? The TikTok thing just popped up on my face. Okay. The new compromise law included a limited ban on police from using chokeholds, so long as the officers are not at greater risk. That's the key language here, because if the officer feels like they're in greater risk, they're going to do it anyway. It banned the Old Warrior training program, which was regarded as dehumanizing people and encouraging aggressive conduct. It required training peace officers to deal with people with autism or a mental health crisis and de-escalation training for situations that could turn volatile. It also created a special independent unit at the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension for investigation of fatal police encounters and a community relations advisory council to consult with police officers, standards, the training board, and policy changes. Walz signed the legislation into law on July 23rd, 2020. Yeah, so homie sent the National Guard to put down the George Floyd uprisings, and I kind of touched on this. Was it last podcast? I don't remember. No, we were having a conversation in a Discord where I was saying, you know, when things like this happen, like uprisings or pogroms, which we'll get into, like the news is only telling you so much of the story. There's so much that happens that goes unreported. So like when the National Guard was in Minneapolis, they were like slashing people's car tires. They were destroying vehicles. They were straight up kidnapping people, throwing people in vans, like shooting people. Like it was. That's why I'm calling it an uprising. It was a violent opposition against the bourgeois that was met with even more violence. So like this guy, the liberal daddy here, he will use the jackboots to crush your skull in. That's this kind of person. So this is from the Claudia and Karina campaign from the PSL. Tim Walz, fake progressive sent to rescue sinking Democratic Party. After Biden's meltdown, the Democratic Party is hoping to re-energize people with a supposedly progressive pick for Kamala Harris running mate. But what's Walz's real record? Siding with big business, Walz vetoed a bill that would have established minimum pay rates for Uber and Lyft drivers. And I know a lot of our comrades are Uber and Lyft drivers, so this is for you. Harris' brother-in-law and top advisor Tony West is Uber's top lawyer. Walz had also gutted a bill to prevent hospitals from understaffing nurses by making healthcare giant Mayo Clinic exempt. Yeah, Mayo Clinic being one of the largest providers in the entire country. I mean, even I would say even North America in general. Not having minimum standards for nursing staff is pretty crazy. So that for anyone who doesn't know, that's like one nurse to like 40 people. It's very dangerous. Cracking down on protesters, called in the National Guard to crack down the uprising in the aftermath of the police murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis. We already touched on that. Supporting Israel. He is also a proud pro-Israeli Democrat with a strong record of supporting the U.S.-Israel relationship. Mark Mellon, Democratic majority for Israel. And then that's that picture. I was looking for the actual picture, that it's not like that discolored. Anyway, I got those slides from Dave MF Crime. Shout out Dave and shout out PSL for making that informative little slideshow because yeah, fuck this guy. To answer your question, Larry, he's not our guy.
Damn. Thought we had it.
You guys have any thoughts on that while I take a sip?
No, I mean, I think
not
you covered
really.
it. Yeah, I mean, you covered it, and I kind of, they needed someone to sort of stabilize the a few working class people. Yeah.
The hope is that
it's a political decision. It's not a moral one. It's a political decision to get votes. I was talking about this with some people in the Discord the other day. Shout out to the Discord if you'd like to join it. DM somebody about it. Anywho, it's just like people attribute like a moral stance to these decisions, like they actually care about these things, but they don't. Know what I mean? They're choosing these people for the sake of getting votes. It should have been evident from the fact that they had Biden as the initial option to begin with, because his very existence was to be like, well, we don't really like him, but at least he'll beat Trump. Like,
yeah, it's interesting because with the amount of momentum that the liberals have right now, we potentially could see 8 years of these two, and that would be 12 years of Democrats in office. And at that point, God knows what level of capitalist decay we'll be at. But you'll still see the liberals being like, no, it's fine. Things haven't gotten worse, even though the last 4 years alone have objectively gotten worse for everybody. I want to say it's disappointing, but it's not surprising, especially when you see these edits on TikTok of Kamala and Walz, and literally all the comments are like white people just being like, yeah, and I'm like, I hate the ones that are like, this gives me hope, and I'm like, hope for what, dog?
Yeah. They don't know.
No,
they don't know.
Mm-mm. All right, let's talk about something a little bit more happy. Pogroms in the UK. what's the deal with that, Mr. Mr. Cutie Pie? As you try not to laugh at my
Jesus
absurdity.
Christ, bro.
Go on.
Yeah, basically, there's just been there was a I guess like a mass killing event in I think it was Merseyside, England, in the UK, and I think it was like three girls got killed, or something like that. And basically, when the police arrested the person who did that, because the person who did it is a minor, they didn't release the name, the age, pictures or anything, right? So, in Lumpy, I think there's an article about it here somewhere, if you want to pull that up. It's about the disinformation. Yeah, that'll probably explain the majority of it. But the long and short of it is that basically all around the internet, a bunch of these right-wing goobers, fascist losers, have been basically making up that it's a Muslim person that did it, and it basically sparked everybody in the UK that only has 2 or 3 brain cells to uprise in vicious anger here and start attacking immigrant communities and housing districts and stuff like that. And it's all over the UK. And a judge eventually released the information of who it was, and it hasn't done anything because it's almost like these guys don't actually care who did it. They just want a reason to be racist and attack immigrants and brown
So
people.
I didn't see the information released. Was it a Muslim
It was a white
brown
dude from
person?
Wales. It was a
Nice.
white guy from Wales, bro. It's a white guy every fucking time, I swear.
God damn it! I mean,
Every
like, it's so stupid, bro. Like, but yeah. So basically, what I've been seeing, and we've been seeing in allegedly from the Discord, like people who are there, sending videos, and it kind of, again, it goes back to what I'm saying, like what is being reported, what isn't being reported, like straight up like fascist hooligans running around the city, like just literally just either breaking shit or attacking people, throwing firebombs. Insanity. Turf Island for you. I like how the other UK citizens were shocked our society was that fascist. Yeah, I mean, it's easy to say that, but again, liberalism runs so deep that people really do think a lot of these things are way farther down in the crust as opposed to being on the surface than they actually are. So yeah, no, it was crazy. Like I saw a video of like an ambulance just like pulling up and then like 4 Molotovs being thrown on it. And I'm like, God damn, like these people they're killing people, burning buildings down and whatever. And I was hearing and seeing that police were just like, well, arrest them tomorrow. Like there's not doing anything.
Yeah.
But
The thing is that they're literally at, and I shit you not, they're literally at 99% capacity in their prisons. So all these
Before
people
or
that are
after this?
rioting, they literally cannot arrest them and put them in prison or in jail because there's not enough space. So like, they just, obviously, fascists are going to see this and go, all right, sounds good. I'm going to do whatever I want. They're not going to be able to touch me anyways, right?
Right. And when fascists are in the police force and are judges and town administrators, it doesn't really matter if you get arrested anyway because they're your homies. It's just bananas. What else you got, Lumps? You want to read this for us, Cutie?
Okay. This is from obviously the Guardian. It's Belfast, which is the north of Ireland. It's in the occupied 6 counties. It's my thoughts about the city have changed. Belfast residents consider future after riots. Refugees who live and own businesses in in area affected by violence fear it has exposed underbelly of hostility. Omar al-Gharati stood on the pavement. How long is this, brother? Okay. Omar al-Gharati stood on the pavement gazing at the ruins of the supermarket where his family used to buy halal chicken and rice. The windows were smashed and the walls were charred, casting an acrid aroma. Bro, I had like a stroke. Acrid aroma over Donegal Road in South Belfast. Quote, "It had everything," he said, looking at an interior jumbled with debris and mounds of blackened packets. Quote, "The owner was from Syria." As he spoke, bro. Somebody else read this, bro. My eyes aren't working. My eyes aren't putting these together.
Right. Larry, go ahead.
Goodness.
Where are we at?
As he spoke. Bro,
This is so small.
Here.
As he spoke, a car slowed down and a young man stuck his head out of the window. He was smiling. "Bye-bye, shop," he yelled. "Bye-bye." El Gharati did not flinch since the riots in England spread to Northern Ireland. The 35-year-old from war-torn Yemen has adjusted to a new reality. "All my thoughts about the Irish in this city have changed," he said. "I don't feel secure. We've been advised to keep our children inside. I hope in my heart everything will be all right." The mob that rampaged through this patch of Belfast last Saturday and again on Monday involved a few hundred people, a tiny minority of residents. But some of the immigrants and refugees who were targeted are fearful that the hostility goes wide and deep. Mohammed Idris, 50, a refugee from Sudan, fled when a crowd attacked his cafe. They were shouting, "Where is Mohammed?" He said. They burnt it completely. This was not his first time standing in the ashes of his livelihood. Last August, before the Southport killings prompted disturbances across England, a mob burned Idris's computer shop. Jesus Christ. He is grateful for expressions of solidarity and crowdfunding initiatives to help him and other business owners rebuild, but said that he plans to move to another part of Belfast. "If I stay, it will happen again." While hotspots for unrest have cooled somewhat in England in recent days, Belfast has kept simmering with 6 arrests during a spate of incidents on Tuesday night. Masked men drove a stolen car into estate agents after it claimed it was renting homes to asylum seekers. Elsewhere, masked men smashed doorways and windows of homes, and youths pelted eggs at a supermarket, which left a 15-year-old requiring treatment for facial injuries. The supermarket had been previously attacked in January and February. 10 nurses from overseas planned to leave Northern Ireland, the BBC reported. Police believe that paramilitary groups are contributing to the violence. It does not help that the police service of Northern Ireland is overstretched. So they're, asking for more cops? The force is supposed to have 7,500 officers, but has just 6,300. Another factor is synergy with far-right activists in Ireland who have targeted asylum accommodation and staged violent protests there, including a riot in Dublin last November. Several attended a rally in Belfast last Saturday and waved Irish tricolours alongside loyalists with British flags. That's
a quick note on that. They were with a guy, and the picture literally includes a guy, right? In it, if you might be able to see it, lumping, but it includes a picture of this guy Glenn Kane, who was a loyalist, was a part of a paramilitary group. That during a riot, he beat somebody to death. So he's standing here next to these people who are calling themselves Irish Republicans, waving an Irish flag around. And he's literally a guy who used to kill them and would be extremely excited about it. You go to these rallies and you listen to their music and you see that their songs are talking about how awesome it is to kill Catholics. and Irish people. So
Yeah.
I don't know why on earth that you're standing next to these people. You know what I mean? Like why
Yeah.
an Irish Republican would be standing next to these people. The only, real thought that I can have is that they care more about being racist than they do about being Irish.
Mm. Well, yeah, because if they're racist, they're closer to whiteness. Whiteness being a fake concept, a concept to label people outside of nationalities and unite them in hate and supremacy. No, you know all about that. You know way more about Irish history than I do, but I'm just sprinkling.
Yeah.
Ow.
Well, those people, those Irish Republicans were from the South, where it's really not as much of a immediate, I guess, um, visceral understanding of the Troubles. I mean,
Mhm.
me, I'm not living there. I can understand it, so they should too. But they're not in Northern Ireland where they would, have seen, loyalist Protestant, anti-Catholic paramilitaries marching around,
Yeah.
Literally going into Irish people's shops and tearing their shit up and trying to force them out into specified areas to keep them out of Belfast, for example, or out of the north of Ireland. Which is
Yeah.
what is extremely ironic to me is that these guys are now like, look, it's our turn to do it. Finally,
Yeah.
they're losers.
Yeah. It's our turn to brutalize other poor people instead of punching up.
Don't pay attention to the fact that Arabic countries and Islamic countries and countries in that entire area historically have supported Irish independence
Right.
and
Exactly.
Irish struggle for freedom. Pay attention to the fact that I guess these people who need a helping hand from you for once want to live in a decent living conditions.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's funny you brought that up because like when I saw this when they had the Irish Republicans standing with loyalists, I immediately thought of that big barn of Gaddafi where it's like how do you get from there to there? I mean, we know how because class society does this to people, but it's just like it's mind blowing.
It's giving
I really don't think that they're even Republicans. I think they're just people from Ireland who say that they're Irish. They don't like. They don't.
I
really
mean,
care about
listen.
the United
I have spent some time around, and I know Aria's watching and she's gonna laugh because she thinks I'm making a Sons of Anarchy reference, but I swear to God, I'm not. I've spent time around people who have been in association with MCs and stuff like Hell's Angels offshoots and whatever, and you get a lot of these guys who do talk about like reuniting Ireland and like claiming to be Irish Republicans, but like these guys are the farthest removed from understanding anything the RIA did, anything socialist, anything national liberation or communist, or like at all. So like why did they have a giant thing of Gaddafi in the country? Why were the Libyans sending them with in particular? Like it. Let's be real, guys. They don't know. It's the same thing. Literally, it's the same thing as like the ACP goobers. Like they loosely adopt aesthetic out of reaction. They don't have an understanding.
Yeah. No, I just thought the Irish were just really big fans of Back to the Future. The Libyans.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Exactly. All right. But in hopeful news, I did see that like 15,000 or so people like came out in like Belfast and the surrounding areas to like fuck these Nazis up. And
it was in Bolton was the main one. Bolton in the UK.
Okay.
They like got together and they like literally started like pushing them out of the city.
Yeah, and that's how you fight fascism, not by voting harder, but by confronting them face to face with mass force.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
telling them to get the fuck out, like confronting them directly, face to face.
I guess think about it. The Bolton police were out there. The fascists were still around the entire time the cops were there, but then when the people came out and showed up and pushed, they're the ones who pushed them out, not the cops.
Exactly.
That's why you don't need police, bro. You don't need police. It reminds me of what my father used to tell me back in Guatemala. The police were only relegated to like major cities. So where he was living at the time, he was telling me, and obviously this has its own risks, but he was telling me, because I think I had asked him basically, I was like, so like, what happened when there was like trouble like afoot? And he was like, basically the people of the town would get together and they would handle it. Like he told me this one story about how I think a guy like beat up his wife or something, and like a bunch of guys from the town just like fucked him up, and then that was it. They kept it moving. Like like you don't need police, bro.
Dude, yeah. The libs are not going to like that, but that's outlaw justice. It's community policing. Is what it is.
Right.
It's not that's enforcement of community guidelines outside of the protection of capital and property and all that. Well, not necessarily outside of it because all those things exist, but it's different than a police force, where a police force exists to do what they show us every day. They're just there to enforce and at best quell like contradictions, and usually brutally so. And again, they don't chase off the fascists. They sit there and make sure the fascists don't get hurt because they're friends.
Right.
They're roommates.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes literally.
Literally. we can't let Bob get fucked up over here.
Right. All right, homies. What else we got on the agenda? We got a third thing, and my brain is blanking.
The ouster
Bangladesh.
in Bangladesh of the prime minister.
Are you covering that tonight, Lear Bear?
Yeah.
All right, give us the deets, homie.
Yeah, so essentially this was, here we go. Sorry. This one cracked me up when I found it. So anyway, yes. This prime minister they used to have, she was kicked out. The students, it was mostly a student-led protest for all of the horrible shit that's been going on that is inherent to, again, all capitalist society, just usual contradictions coming to a head. They kicked her out, and smartly, wisely, they the military sort of came in after she fled to sort of calm things down, and the students were good enough to reject a proposal of a military-led coalition that would take over. So they have instead decided to go with this guy, Mr. Muhammad Yunus. Yeah, and this is Sheikh Hasina. I'm sorry, her name was escaping me. She claims she'll be back.
Yeah.
Her son, this is her son, Sajib Wazi Joy. Like if you see this dude, he's completely he looks like an Englishman. So yeah, of course. And consequences of the British Raj. But yeah, so Mr. Yunus is a representative of this is not a socialist upheaval. It was a popular uprising that essentially replaced one unpopular capitalist leader for another, less unpopular. Mr. Yunus here was the founder of Grameen Bank. He's very much a capitalist. He really what he did is actually a rather important guy in terms of global finance and in the development of capitalism. He created didn't necessarily create, this thing existed before, but Grameen Bank essentially in the 1980s created this concept of microcredit. Microcredit is lending that's done. It's predatory lending. It's done to people that are generally not credit worthy by most banking institutions. They essentially give out small loans to rural folks in places. It started here in Bangladesh, and they essentially give out entrepreneurial loans, so they can start their own business, things like that. Of course, they wind up paying huge interest on this. It was started as a program under the guise of poverty alleviation, which, as with everything with capitalists, there's some bit of truth to that. Yes, it has alleviated some poverty for some people who are able to make their businesses work and run. It's also had some other nasty consequences, like what they call informal intermediation. So what happens in these cases, what we've seen happen in Bangladesh specifically, is a lot of these people will take their loans, start up a business, and then start loaning out predatory wise as loan sharks to their fellow poor rural people. So that's one dark aspect of the microloan situation. Another is essentially what it's been basically utilized for is privatization of welfare. So Grameen Bank, this is a neoliberal policy in its entirety. It's been used. Microcredit has been used where it's been adopted. The Grameen Bank borrows or loans out in the United States as well. I think there's 9,000 people across the United States right now with Grameen Bank loans. And it's essentially a program to privatize welfare. In Bangladesh, it replaced a lot of the state welfare system with these small predatory loans, which have, as capitalist development shows, it turns people into loan sharks, predating off of each other rather than actually truly, society-wide alleviating this poverty. So this guy is a complete clown, but he's very popular among students because, again, he's more progressive socially and all that, and he's in general a very amicable fellow from everything I understand. But yeah, he's just another capitalist shill. So
yep.
Best of luck. But he seems to represent the Muslim population, which Bangladesh is majority, while the lady who got kicked out, I keep forgetting her name, is more of a Modi loyalist. That's where she's at right now. She fled to Delhi, so she's hanging out with Modi. So there's those contradictions are also going on in Bangladesh. Sheikh Hasina. Sorry, my apologies to the horrible Sheikh Hasina. I keep forgetting your name. But yeah, have fun in there with Modi, you jackass.
But,
Lumpy, what would you like to add?
Aren't they Hindu? Like they're making, like they're saying that I see all over Twitter, like the Hindu populations claiming that they're being attacked.
Yes,
and some of it was like, some of it was like videos that had nothing to do with Bangladesh, that they were using and stuff like that. Like same thing they were doing in Ukraine and stuff. So yeah.
Exactly. They're claiming that there's Muslim pogroms going against Hindus, which has traditionally not been a thing. It's been the other way. The Hindu nationalists have typically brutalized the Muslim populations on the Indian subcontinent. So, yep.
It's time to unite Hindustan.
Oh boy.
Good grief.
Liberate the Bengalis.
Yeah. Like contradictions keep on contradicting.
Yeah. So
hey, that's what we should have
always
called
the lesson here, I mean, is as far as revolutionary moments go, and I don't know how revolutionary this moment necessarily was. It doesn't seem like a broad coalition of workers were really behind this. It was mostly a student-led movement, but be careful who you wind up inserting. It's good that they stayed away from military junta, because that never turns out well.
Right.
But
that music jump scared the shit out of me.
I tried to keep it
Started, I was
low, so it wouldn't freak you out.
I was like, oh.
But yeah, anytime you hear people talking about poverty alleviation and they're not talking about communism, the wrong kind of red flags. It's a scheme. It's just capitalism.
Always. Because again, the system is predicated on poverty. It needs poverty to exist. So it doesn't matter how progressive the policy is. It doesn't matter if they say the right things, if they are socially progressive, unless they are dismantling capitalism, then they are not interested in alleviating poverty and suffering around the world. They're just not.
Nope. They can't be. Like, even if they had the best intentions to do so, they can't be.
Right. Exactly. You need to be able to.
These loans represent just value doing its thing. It's value valorizing and accumulating. It's just how it operates. It can't operate any other way. You can't cram the logic of capital into any sort of box to operate how you want it to. It's going to operate how it operates.
Yeah. I saw a video on YouTube, TikTok, a couple days ago, and it basically somebody was saying, the majority of the country is right wing. That is, well, really the world, I guess you could say, is right wing, and because their ideology is defaulted into capitalism. And they could really mean well, but meaning well and doing well are two different things. We cannot make our political programs based off of somebody. Well, he had good vibes, So.
Yeah. And they're right. The majority of the world, all the world, is either uninterested or is more or less bound to the thing that's going on right now, which is capitalism. That's just how it works. Class consciousness doesn't develop until the shit hits the fan. Is how it works. I mean, you can get a vanguard of workers, and it's important to have that and organize for these moments. But until that moment hits, basically people are just sort of just talk to anybody. They can come up with the you can hit them with the absolute best critique of capitalism and explain to them their contradictions and their position in it, and they're still going to sort of walk away thinking, right, but what else?
Anyways, the new season of House of Dragon is out.
Right. That's just.
I better get home to see The Boys season 5. I heard that finale is gonna be crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's why it's so important to, when you're educating and deconstructing from Marx through Marxism, to not skip things like Gramsci and cultural hegemony, and not skip the parts of Marx where he talks about commodity fetishization. In the process of reification, where with these processes, we don't understand them, they become mystified, and that winds up just reinforcing their continuation. So it's we have to understand that is how people operate on a day-to-day level for almost the entire majority of the globe.
Is your subtitle name there you confirming that you are indeed a Maoist?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't think that was up for debate.
I didn't think so either, but it was a couple weeks ago you were like, I'm not a Maoist, I'm a communist. And I was like,
oh, well, I mean, same thing.
Next week on the Collective Podcast.
Soy jacking over. Oh my God! It's Larry. He's a Maoist now. Daddy, go bananas, bro.
Yeah.
Gonna start
Yeah.
tweaking out.
No,
TikTok
no,
comments on your videos.
it's more or less just the recognition that there's still a revolutionary trend that's going on, and it's continued through MLM, not the Khrushchev line, which is dead. So
Mm-hmm. The anti-communist line, yeah. All right. I think we covered all our bases today, homies. Did you have something to say, Lumpy?
No, I'm just laughing at you because you're so bad.
Oh. That's me. All right, friends. DM us if you want to join the collective Discord.
All that.
And
for
like
coming.
and subscribe. Eat Wolf Cola. Stomp out the
Weird.
liberals.
Re-ed Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
For what,
Every-
Riad?
Yep.
Next week
Okay.
on Riyadh, we're
Every
going to talk
single Wednesday
about
now.
Hafasula Amin.
No, you weren't supposed. Oh my God, cutie.
Bro, the three
Everyone
people
knows now.
that are going to remember this aren't going to give a damn when it happens.
Okay. All right. Everyone, erase your memory.
All right, homies.
We're
Play us
talking
out.
about Babrak Karmal, actually.
Yes, that's who we're going to talk about. Well, Aria can now make a graphic for it if she wants.
Cut the show.